الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. My dear respected brothers, elders, listeners, once again you've joined us for the Q&A. We'll start with this week's questions. Question number 1. Please refer to Surah Al-Baqarah, ayat number 85. We are now in the Jews' place. Therefore, this be addressed to us. In view of this, what should we be doing about it? So first, we'll just look a little about Surah Al-Baqarah, para number 1, verse 85, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned. And in context of this, what we understand from this. So in Surah Al-Baqarah, para number 1, verse 85, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned about some of the crimes that the Jews had done, the Bani Israel. And the verse goes, ثُمَّ أَنْتُمْ هَؤُلَاءِ تَقْتُلُونَ أَنفُسَكُمْ وَتُخْرِجُونَ فَرِيقًا مِّنْكُمْ مِنْ دِيَارِهِمْ إِلَى آخِرِ الْآيَةِ, till the end of the ayah. So we need to understand, in Madinatul Munawwara we have the Ansar, the helpers, that helped Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Before they were the Ansar, they were mushriks, associate partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then we have in Madinatul Munawwara, there were 3 tribes of the Jewish community. One was called Banu Qaynaqa, one was Banu Nadir, and one was Banu Qurayza. Now, and from the Ansar in Medina, there were 2 tribes. One was called Aus and one was called Khazraj. Between Aus and Khazraj, these tribes, they were always had fights amongst each other. And these 3 tribes of the Jewish community, they also would fight with one another. And those, sometimes they would break the laws of the Torah. Now, what would they do? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, sometimes they would kill people amongst them. Sometimes they would take people out the land and say that you cannot live here. They would help one another in committing crimes and sin. If someone was a prisoner, they would set them free. All these things were against the Torah, but they had done it. And what they had done, Allah mentions, أَفَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِبَعْضِ الْكِتَابِ وَتَكْفُرُونَ بِبَعْضِ. They believed in parts of the book and they denied parts of it. Because of this, Allah mentions disgrace for them in this dunya and in the akhirah. So I'll just give an overview of the verse. What do we learn from this verse? The lesson that we learn from verse 85 is that if we select parts of deen and leave parts out, then we are not totally obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And may Allah save us. Those that had done this, Allah disgraced them in the dunya and the akhirah. So if we do not do this, they'll be disgraced in the dunyas also and in the akhirah. So we have to follow Allah's laws that Allah has set. Not some of them we follow and some of them that we break. Those that suits us and are easy, we follow them, and those that are hard, we have excuses and we leave them. Allah has set a law, and as Muslims we have to follow these laws set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these verses, the Quran is speaking about the Bani Israel and the Jews of that time, but that does not mean that we cannot learn a lesson from this. What Allah has mentioned, we also can take and learn a lesson from this. That we have to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and all the commands set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Question number 2. This is a shirk system. For example, in the Quran it states that we should be totally obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, where do we stand with our ibadah? Is sort of half action. What system that we are around allows us that we are follow the rules and we are obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So currently, alhamdulillah, we can be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and follow the laws set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we cannot follow the laws set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then Allah has mentioned in the Quran, وَأَرْضُ اللَّهِ وَاسِعَةٌ. The earth that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made is very vast and broad. You can go to a place where you can practice your deen. If you are in a country which allows you to practice your deen, to be obedient to your Creator, to follow the things which are obligatory, then that is fine. If they are not allowing you to follow those things which are obligatory, then Allah mentions in the Quran that you can make hijrah and go somewhere else. But until then, while you are permitted, then it's fine that you can stay. And this would not mean that you are not obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One would be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the laws that Allah set in the Quran. However, if a person individually feels and is their preference, then they have a free will and choice. They can make hijran, go live in another country that they feel where they can be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So individual choice. Question number 3. Is there any specific ruling that laying down with your legs stretched out and the sole of your feet facing the Qibla isn't allowed? Now, we know that we should, when we go to the toilet, the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, لا تستقبل القبلة ولا تستدبروها. That when you go to the toilet, you should not be facing the Qibla, neither should your back be facing the Qibla. Because the Kaaba deserves respect. It's a symbol of Islam and it's something which is honorable and it's something that we show respect to. From this, the scholars have also derived that showing respect to the Kaaba and the direction of the Kaaba, that is better. Do not stretch your legs out towards the Qibla. And they declare it disliked. Some of the Arab scholars hold the opinion that it's fine even if you stretch it. That is their opinion. But the Hanafi scholars, from their understanding, that showing respect in this manner by not stretching your legs out towards the direction of the Kaaba would be better. And if one does, then according to them, it would be disliked. So as much as we can, these symbols that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, we show respect to them as much as we can. However, if you do see someone, then you have to make a wise decision how you should go about things. Question number 4. I know it is mustahab to move positions once you've prayed your fards and offer your sunnah elsewhere. If you offer nafil and witr also, should you continue to move between each prayer? So once you have prayed your fard, obligatory namaz, now it's better that you stand and go and pray in a different place. But if you stand in the same place, pray your sunnahs, pray your witr, pray your nafil is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And if you decide to go back and move places because you are praying in a different place, that is fine also. Both ways are fine. There's nothing wrong or any penalty or any sin on a person that does this. Both ways are permitted and fine. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to understand what we have said and spread unto others. Ameen. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.